Standing up here, we're 0-3, but all our goals are still intact. That's what I just told the team. And if we'll have that same type of effort and we'll keep growing those young ones up, we're going to be in great shape. We started this game tonight playing an offensive line that's got one freshman, two sophomores, two juniors, a defensive line that's sophomores and juniors. We're young, we'll get better every rep. And that's what we have to do. And I'm depending on these seniors to keep growing those guys up. The effort this defense played with tonight, I'm absolutely amazed by our senior Alex Lyons, by Tabari McGaskey. We had to defend over 100 plays. Had another senior, JT Blassingame, got the interception that led to the points. To hold Baylor out of the first quarter, you just kept thinking we're going to build on this momentum. We're at home, we're going to build on this momentum. And even to have the opportunities we did offensively when it was 21-10, and we knocked at the door, we can't have those type of mistakes. And we knew, too, what we talked about all week with this team, everything we do at Rice, we have to do it precise. Everything we do at Rice, every rep has to be deliberate. We've got to be the team that runs the finest routes. We've got to be the team that uses the most fundamentals and techniques. That's how Rice wins ball games, by Rice not beating Rice. We've got to continue to work on eliminating those penalties. We had a nice pass play to Zach Wright called back tonight because we didn't have a lineman on the line of scrimmage. And those are the games we've got to eliminate. The Nate German at punt. He is probably one of the finest. We've done that in practice, and they usually roll 60, 70 yards. We will continue to use Nate German on that. That was the first time he did it in a game, very similar to Blaine Padgett's first time. We're not going to give up on people we trust. We're going to continue to coach them and get them better. It's amazing, too, when Chris Delcani put Baylor on our schedule 8 years ago, they were probably the worst football team in the Big 12. And what they did by investing in their program is what we're doing at Rice right now. We have invested in this facility. It's still going to continue with renovations and improvements. And we're waking up and we're going to attract, as fine as these student athletes are, we're going to continue to build on great teams here and continue to recruit. And it's about the investment. You see how that's paid off at Baylor. And it's going to pay great dividends for us here also. Any questions for me?
Coach, was that the best your defense has played? I mean, when you talk about that first quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. To hold Baylor to no points in the first quarter, that's hard to do. Like I said, when you defend over 100 plays on the day, they just keep coming at you. And they're big physical offensive line. They're extremely fast receivers. Having Russell back, he's as accurate a passer as there is in the country. Like I said, we've got we knew they were going to hit some plays today, but you watched, even when they completed on JT over there, it was like he was a shadow. They just made great plays. And, that's what we're going to have to start doing. We're going to make more plays, especially offensively.
Can you talk about that JT interception? I mean, the sideline was just...
Well, you know what I'll do? I'll let JT talk about it because I was part of that sideline eruption too. That's the one thing we've challenged this defense. We got to have turnovers, takeaways in these big games. And you saw kids out there. I thought you saw us get two other balls out that we didn't get. So we got an opportunity for 3 takeaways today. Just got one of them. And those are the things we have to have when you're playing a top 25 team. But we're working. We're getting better. And all our goals, nobody wants to be 0-3, but all our goals are still intact. Our goal starting at this was to win Conference USA and to use the Army and the Baylor game to improve Rice football, and I think that's what we've done.
Can you also talk about using Nate at quarterback, Wildcat, Wild Owl?
Well, Nate was the young man that actually, if you remember, well, you wouldn't because you're new here, he was our backup quarterback last season, and then he was forced into action when we had a couple receivers that didn't play, that couldn't play for the year. So he was such a fine athlete, we moved him to wide receiver. Nate, what game was that?
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky, after we lost a bunch of guys. In the last game of the year, he hurt his shoulder. So we went through spring, he couldn't get any reps at quarterback. And he's just now starting to get some reps. He's still going to primarily be receiver, but that's a package we'll continue to grow with him because he can throw a football well, and he's really a headsy, instinctive football player.
Is it you think about what could have been, this 14-10 and then, the big run and the fumble?
Oh, absolutely. You go home tonight and play woulda, coulda, shoulda, and if I could, use the wisdom of hindsight, you got to learn from these things. I do, the players do. You got to go home and sort this through your mind of what calls you would make different, of what I would do different. And there's wisdom in hindsight, but it's hindsight. You got to use it. We're still in control of our future. Nothing we can do about the past, but learn from it.
Coach, when you guys took the 3-0 lead and then they come back and hit better in the passing game than they'd hit up to that point, was there a different intensity about the way they were playing on offense, or did you guys do anything on defense different on that series?
I think the defensive staff, Chris Thurman and those guys, I thought they really had a nice plan. I thought Baylor came out a little flat. I would like to add too, I think Jim Grove's done a remarkable job of stabilizing a tough situation. He's a gentleman I've known for a long time, and I think for them to play the way they've had has taken a man like Jim Grove but I think that they came out a little flat, and we came out excited.
Coach, two things. First, you get in the red zone and you score on both opportunities, and then the time possession is pretty much even, 29 and 30. What did you all talk about, especially going in halftime, coming back out in the second half, and getting your hands on the ball, and then just moving forward?
Well, we struggled in the second half, moving it. Nate, actually it was hot and humid out there tonight. We had a couple guys that had to get IV'd at halftime because they were cramping on the sidelines. But we came out, we would get the ball, and our plan was to take it and go down there and score. But it just didn't happen. And we didn't, at that point too, we didn't have Nate starting at the third quarter. We'll continue to use Nate more, and Tyler's going to be our starting quarterback. There's a lot of that when Baylor put their ears back and blitz. We got to get receivers open. Those guys got to compete and get open. He's got to put the ball in there.
Any concern about Tyler, after tonight, or you just tell them?
No, Baylor's a top 25 team. They're Phil Bennett does a great job defensively. Those corners are a little bit bigger, they're a little faster than we are. I'm not concerned at all. We gotta, when you play a team like that, you gotta make sure every one of us improves. It's an improve me, improve the team. And hopefully that's the bounce we get from this. David,
your running game did average over 5 yards a rush, which was you're talking about improving every game. It looked like the running game is improving and making necessary steps.
It is. That was, one of the point of emphasis we had to do. We had to get in some downhill runs. That's what Derek is really, that's his skill set, is more of a downhill sudden. I think you saw some big dividends with that tonight. We're going to continue to work a lot of running games with different wrinkles. It's just not all to the sideline. A lot of when you see us attacking the perimeters, we got to get more physical out there with our receivers, but we did add some downhill run that we had not done in the first 2 games.
Coach, next game, I know it's early, but do you guys feel like, hey, must win? Is there a sense of urgency?
Yeah, we won't be 1-0. It's North Texas coming to town. Very thankful we have tomorrow to rest. It's tough when you're in New York on Saturday and playing a football game on Saturday. I think these guys need a day off, and that's what we're going to give them so they can get treatment and rest. And it's a long season, and we need to do what it takes to start celebrating after these games. But like I said, I'm confident we're getting better, and I think you'll hear that echoed from these young men that will come up here and visit with you.
Yeah, that's the advantage of a short week. Getting an extra day. I think that's
Absolutely. You know, like Preston Gordon couldn't play tonight, our starting tackle. Probably if it was tomorrow, he probably could have played, but it's one of those decisions that, you know, it's a long season and you don't want to make things worse by rushing him a day. You know, hopefully next week too, we should have, I thought Sam Stewart would be back this week. Hopefully he'll be back next week. Derek?